Well, morning everybody. Sam here, United People's TV, and the transfer window is closed. Can I say thank God for that? But it's not as if the conversation is really going to cheer up and improve. The United fan base right now, divided, split, angry, frustrated. Yeah, all of them apply. What I'm going to do this morning is do a review of the transfer window. We're going to speak about the deals that United did and the deals that United didn't do. We're going to speak about Ruben Amorim. We're going to speak about INEOS. We're going to speak about the season that we've got coming up now, the second half of this season. We'll also speak about the terrible news, and it is terrible news, about Lisandro Martinez and his ACL injury. Looks like he's ruptured it. Looks like he's going to be gone for the rest of the season, and I don't know when he's going to be back or if he's going to be back in the same way. And we'll just try and have a conversation here about prospects for the second half of this season, belief in INEOS, feelings around the decisions in this window. And yeah, no doubt this chat's going to be lively this morning. I'm going to try my best. I think you saw it yesterday, and I still feel it today. I feel very, very exhausted in covering, discussing Manchester United. It's a whirlwind. Always has been. And yeah, Ruben Amorim said the storm was coming, and let's talk about it. Who's here from the mod and the member gang? I'll try and say hello to as many as possible before we have a conversation today. Alex, good morning to you, and I saw you there as well. Stephanie and Carl. Josh, I'm sure you're hiding there in the background too. In terms of members, we've got Takeoff, we've got John, we've got Lisa, we've got Real Recognize, Ines Fushi, we've got Imtiaz, Saeed, Chris, and Ryan. Thank you. Somebody just gifted a couple of memberships down there. I'll say thank you very much to whoever that was at the start of the show. Mandia, thank you. Now let's get into the conversation and the chat. I've tried to prepare this show as best as I can. All right. And there's probably going to be bits that I miss, and I'm going to try and have a full conversation about it. I think this quote here from Ruben Amorim is an important point to start on. It's not the only time that Ruben Amorim said this. I think, was this before the Palace game, after the Palace game? He said it multiple times about the fact that the club doesn't want to repeat the mistakes of the past. So, Ruben Amorim, I think a question that I want to ask you, no, that's a stupid question to ask, really. But I wonder how much visibility on Manchester United's financial situation Ruben Amorim had before he joined. I imagine he would have had quite a bit. Eric, I can see you gifting 10 down there. Thank you very much, dude. I apologise if I'm in a mood. Just up to there. And I think I said this the other week. Just up to there with Manchester United and conversations around them. Jeez. But this is something I want to say at the start of the show today. Right? Ruben Amorim said this early this season about, the storm is coming. I think he said was that after the Arsenal game earlier this season. I think it might have been. And of course, he was talking to the fans about the football. But you know what I really want to say here? And there's no doubt there's going to be people pissed off about this. But hey, that's the world you live in. You can't say something without half of the people in the world getting pissed off these days. People talk about Manchester United rebuilding and Manchester United switching approaches and Manchester United switching strategies. I looked at this January transfer window and I wanted United to sign an attacking reinforcement for Ruben Amorim because he needed one. And I wanted that before Anthony left and before Rashford left. And the fact that he hasn't got one, I feel sorry for him. And at the same time as thinking that, I understand why INEOS have taken this approach. Just to be prudent. Whatever word you want to use to describe it, our finances have been FUCKED'd by the Glazers. And there's some fans that seem to just bury their heads in the sand, just like, let's pretend that hasn't happened. And I saw this morning, and I swear to God, I know this is just designed to, it's just designed to bait engagement. Well, it's fucking baited me. Because I'm seeing quite a lot of it on the timeline. Ed Woodward revisionism. Oh, yeah. Ed would have signed someone. Ed would have got me that dopamine hit, that transfer hit. This is the thing, though. And this is where I think there are arguments on both sides. I think United had enough time to prepare a signing in January that wouldn't have been a late panic in the last 48 hours. And that wouldn't have commanded a huge loan fee and whose wages would have been well within our budget that we could have signed in January. Now, was United's delay in January directly related to the fact that we couldn't get Marcus Rashford off the books? I mean, possibly. And that's, I'd probably say potentially. And that only happened late in the window. Nobody expected Aston Villa. And anybody who tries to suggest that Marcus Rashford is happy to go to Aston Villa, like, go and watch the interview. It was almost like an interview through gritted teeth. That's what you get when you don't reduce your demands. You want the wages covered, and nobody in world football can cover them. Now, I'm going to go down and try and read a few of your comments out around this window and just your honest feelings of it. Because, as I said, and this is the case always, and I know that opinions that exist in the extremes on the internet are the ones that get picked up by people because they represent one extreme and then the arguments exist. And the truth is there are justifications in every sort of area here. There's just fucking hell. Oh man, it's so hard trying to explain this to people without just getting dragged into an argument online about United. It's so fucking hard, and I think that's why I'm exhausted, if I'm honest. So I'm scratching my head at so many just extremes, if you want to call it that. John T, you're saying we can't moan at having no money and then complain when we don't go mad in the transfer window. Chris, you're saying, I'm concerned there is a possibility this club will never return to the glory days of old under this ownership structure. I'm not concerned about that. And that might sound like a foolish thing to say. We don't know how long this cycle or circle is, but I'm not concerned that United will just disappear into the ether and never come back and be the best team in the Premier League and England again. We will be. I don't know when that is. I can't say that with confidence. But no, I don't think United will just disappear into the shadows. Captain State, you're saying, could only afford them players because of a credit card with high interest. I think this is the thing for me, right? If you truly want United to rebuild, then United are going to have to do things differently. We spent massively in the summer, all right, under INEOS, on the credit card. And I expect that is the last time that ever happened. What was saying down here? Imtiaz, you're saying, I think we had an okay transfer window, got a left wing back and replacement for Martinez. Well, turns out to be a replacement for Martinez. Takeoff saying Nice fans also complained about the transfer strategies of INEOS. Man, I remember the transfer strategy of INEOS at the beginning at Nice. That was when Dave Brailsford came in and Bob Ratcliffe was there, who was Jim Ratcliffe's brother. I think he was there as a CEO. And they had that dumbass window where they signed like Kasper Schmeichel, Ross Barkley. I think they got, what's his face, from Arsenal. Who's the winger they spent like 70 mil on? Left winger from French left winger. Can't remember. And you're saying, I've said it before, and I like and trust Amorim, but I'm concerned with Ratcliffe's micromanagement. I didn't think Ratcliffe would be anywhere near as involved as he has been. I think, again, the extremes, and it might just be engagement bait. It might be rage bait, and I'm nibbling on it too much. But I'm so deeply involved. Pepe, thank you very much. That was the player I was trying to think of. I'm so deeply involved in what I do, and I try to do everything properly here on United People's TV. I try not to just jump on a surface level conversation and just react to it without understanding everything that's underneath it. People trying to suggest that Ruben Amorim is now going to resign and walk away from United. You know that's not the fucking case. You know that you're just lying to gain a reaction. But I do feel sorry for Ruben Amorim, and that is fair. Ruben Amorim went into the January transfer window with an attacking squad which is awful. And I honestly do not think we weakened that attacking squad by letting Anthony go. And you might say this is controversial. I don't think it is. We didn't weaken our attack by letting Marcus Rashford go. On paper, when you look at how many goals Rashford has scored, you see the fact that he scored 7 this season. Yeah, we weakened it, but it doesn't matter. Marcus Rashford at Manchester United was a story that had finished. It doesn't matter if Marcus Rashford goes to Aston Villa and bangs in a hat-trick on his debut and bangs in 20 goals in the second half of this season. That would not have happened at Manchester United. It was done and dusted. So regardless of the fact that we haven't brought in an attacker, doesn't mean that these decisions weren't correct, because they were correct. And that's effectively what this January transfer window has been. More of a reset than anything else. More of a trimming of what we can trim than anything else. And the suggestion that Amorim's going to walk away from it. This is literally Amorim's dream job. Amorim walked away from a club that he had built up from the shadows again with Sporting Lisbon and had 4 massively successful years, and he did not want to leave mid-season. He asked United, can we do this in the summer, please? They said no, right? You either take the job now or the job probably won't exist, because Ruben Amorim had awareness of what was going to happen. He is not going anywhere. So again, that's just engagement. It's just rage bait. And that's just how the internet exists. Fuck, it's so annoying. Won't go away, though. Just get more and more and more. It's almost... I feel sorry for Patrick Dorgu, because I think it's a very, very good signing, and no one's really speaking about it. His first interview went out yesterday, and I don't think I've seen anyone speaking about it. No one even cares, because of what's happened with the attacking situation. Aiden Heaven, he's 18. He made 1 appearance for Arsenal against Preston. He was supposed to be the understudy for Lisandro Martinez, but presumably, if I was to predict what United are going to do at left centre-back for the rest of the season, I would imagine we will see Mazraoui there more often than not. And I think that's a good thing, because Mazraoui's best performances so far in the United shirt have come when he's played as one of the wide centre-backs. I don't want him to play as a wing-back anymore. And then Aiden Heaven will probably be the understudy for Mazraoui and probably get some games, maybe some FA Cup time. I don't know. Or let's be totally honest, the league is now United, and this is a horrible thing to say, but it is the damn truth. The Premier League is now United's training ground. All right? The Premier League is done. Right? The Premier League was done, and had United signed an attacker, I mean, I don't know who it would have been, all right? I said that I would have liked United to bring one in. Understand why we stepped away from the Tell deal, and I'll speak about that next. It's also not my job to know who the right person is. It's those people who are employed full-time by Manchester United to look at the market, to have access to all the data, and to be able to analyse and find someone that would probably be available on a short-term 6-month deal that could work. And Ryan, you're down there rage baiting again. We have to avoid relegation. Again, Matt, look, come on, people. Manchester United have to avoid relegation, do we? Sure. United aren't going to be involved in any sort of relegation scrap. It's not even a conversation. It might make you feel better to sort of explode the extremes of this season that United are involved. United are not involved in a relegation conversation. We might be crap and we might be down there, but it's never going to happen. All right. The Premier League this season now is Manchester United's training ground. We are finishing somewhere between. Let's zoom that in a little bit. We are finishing somewhere in between. I don't know. I've said 8th, and that's as optimistic as it's possibly going to get. Somewhere between 8th and 15th. I don't know. It's going to be our worst ever season in the Premier League. But it now means that the Premier League, we've got 14 games left there, right? That's now our training ground. That's now our training ground. And I can't believe I'm saying that about Manchester United, but that's what it is. The Europa League is all that matters. If we win the Europa League this season, which is going to be difficult now, well, it always was going to be difficult. Where's that photo gone? Oh, my God. Oh, why are these all resetting now? Something's changed with Twitter, man. Right. Apart from that, it's called X now. But it's going to be extremely difficult to win the Europa League with these two as our main strikers and Amad and Garnacho. That's our attack. But that's our season. Like, forget about the Premier League. Again, it was a very, very odd thing for me to admit and for me to say, but that's where we are. Us signing, and that's what I mean, right? Say, for example, just a completely hypothetical question here, right? Say Manchester United yesterday announced the signing of Victor Osimhen. Now, be truthful when I'm asking this question, please. Where do you think we would finish then? Honestly, if we had signed Victor Osimhen yesterday and he's in our squad, that would have been probably, as far as a lot of United fans are concerned, like the absolute best option that we could have signed. Where do you honestly think that we would have finished then in the Premier League? I don't think I would change. I don't think I maybe 8th, maybe 8th. I would give you pretty much the exact same result. I don't think the arrival of Victor Osimhen wouldn't really. I don't think it would transform a Premier League season into something that actually mattered. It's going to be shit either way. So I don't think there was a solution in January that would have pushed us into the top 4 and got us Champions League, and that's not even the priority. Like, the priority is the Europa League. So that's why people are going to, you're Ineos, and people saying Glinios. I want to headbutt people who say Glinios. Like, what are you? Are you a child? Yes, you are. And you're successfully raging me. Me? I don't know. This right here, right, 1 second here. Yeah. This right here, ladies and gents, is part of a rebuild. After 20 years of the cash being pillaged in this football club, of absolute whoppers being in charge of decisions, I can't believe that's actually got Cristiano Ronaldo down there as like a top signing by Ed Woodward. That was a catastrophic signing for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and any sort of strategy and any sort of approach that we had. Under Solskjaer, at that point in time, had we finished second the season before? Was it third the season before? It felt like something could happen, and then, boom, Ronaldo comes in. No plan whatsoever. Just try and fit him in. What do you mean? Doesn't matter. Just put him in there. Blew everything up. This is a bit of a, it's not a rebuild, this is a reset. That's what this January is. And there's going to be a lot of anger towards it. Will it be the correct move? Well, we'll find out probably by the end of summer. Right? That's going to be where we find out whether this was justified. The rest of this season, Premier League-wise, is a complete write-off. Have absolutely no expectations for any other game that we've got in the Premier League. It is, as far as I'm concerned, the training ground for Ruben Amorim. And of course, it won't be a training ground per se, but the results of those games, as long as we're not going to get relegated. People will want that. People will want you to have these conversations. The wider press, the Sun will be reporting it. The Daily Mail will be reporting it. Yeah, we are shit with a capital SHIT. We're not going to get relegated. And even signing Victor Osimhen yesterday would have changed not much about our season. Would it have made me a little bit more confident at winning the Europa League? Yeah, I think it would have. Would it have guaranteed it? Nope, it would not have. And this is what I mean when I say I feel sorry for this lad. Right? Because I do genuinely think that Patrick Dorgu is a signing that is going to make a substantial difference. United's... On the surface, United's biggest problem is goal scoring. And it has been for a few years now, by the way. This isn't a Ruben Amorim problem. This problem existed last season, and I think this problem existed the season before. Prior to that, I think, was the season where Rashford scored 30. So this isn't a new issue, United not scoring goals. I think the biggest issue has been that anxiety that Ruben Amorim keeps talking about. United in the build-up. United actually trying to control the game of football. Of course, we actually had quite a lot of control against Crystal Palace, but we didn't have that attacking spark. And yeah, all the madness of yesterday, all the frustration of yesterday has kind of just completely overshadowed the fact that Patrick Dorgu had his first interview. I'm really looking forward to seeing him coming in. Sean saying I wouldn't say Dorgu is good before I've seen him play. I've watched plenty of him at Lecce. So I'm allowed to say that I'm excited about him coming into the team. I know his strengths. I know his assets. I know his weaknesses. Do I know them in a United environment? No. And Takeoff, I would agree with that, by the way. Dorgu should have been a signing that we made in the summer. Yeah. But if we at United People's TV were able to have a conversation about Patrick Dorgu, then United should have too. But remember that, of course, Ruben Amorim wasn't in at that point. Although, let's be honest, we still needed a left back or left wing back at that point anyway. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the team. I think it will make a difference to our build-up. I think it will make a difference to us bringing the ball out from the back. And this is something that United missed desperately. Really, really desperately is ball carriers. Like, you can talk about Martinez's line-breaking passes, which we won't see for the rest of the season now. You can talk about Maguire's switches of play that he's able to do from the back. Or Mazraoui as well. We do not have any real ball carriers from deep. So United's build-up play relies on sort of passing moves, triangles, playing through the press with passes. Whereas if you've just got a genuine athlete who can run the ball 10, 15 yards up the pitch, makes a big old difference. And I think that's something I'm looking forward to straight away. Will he solve our problems? He absolutely won't. Will he make United a bit of a better team? I think he will, and it will take him time to settle. But I'm looking forward to that. As I said, the fact that everyone's so frustrated about the lack of a striker means that there's not really been too much conversation about him. I feel a little bit sorry for him there. I'm going to go down and read some of your comments here. Do you think we should give Bayindir a run of games? Eric, I think Bayindir is, after that Arsenal game, he earned the respect of all of his teammates and the manager as well. So he is our cup goalkeeper now. And I think that's fair. Does that mean he'll play in all the Europa League? I don't know. Because as I've just said, if I'm choosing one competition where I want United to focus completely, it's the Europa League. The Europa League is our Champions League now. The Europa League is our season. It's the 4th of February and I'm saying that. Do I want United to just ignore the FA Cup? No, I don't. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, people. Do you get into the Europa League if you win the FA Cup? Is that right? Have I made that up? I don't know. But United are very likely to not finish anywhere near a European place this season. So I think we are a cup team now. We are a cup team. Graphic saying, I suggest that we as fans start backing the players as well as the manager from now on to the end of the season. I don't think, well, of course, someone's in the crosshairs at United. Whether it's INEOS, whether it's the players, whether it's the manager, whether it's all three at the same time, or the head coach. Someone's always in the crosshairs, whether it's United fans, whether it's the wider press, but that's football at the top level. Scrutiny will always exist. Let me see what else he's saying down here. Dorgu, Heaven, Leon, not bad signings. Hopefully we see Obi Martin break into the first team. And look, if I was to do, I've updated the whiteboard here. And if we were to sort of run through this, can you type it in the comments, all right? Oh, no, should I type in the comments or do a poll? I'll do a poll. What would you rate this window? Out of 10. What am I going to go for? 8 plus? 6 plus? 4 plus? 0 to 3. Is that right? I'm trying to get as wide a thing as I can in 4 options. These are all the things that have happened, all right? Diego Leon signed 17. He's back at Cerro Porteño in Paraguay for the rest of the season, and he'll be joining in the summer. And Patrick Dorgu, 25.2 mil. That is the signing which strengthens our first team straight away. Aiden Heaven is somebody who was brought in as an understudy to Lisandro Martinez and a signing for the future rather than the present. But he may well have to come into the first team environment sooner than we thought, now that Martinez is out. They're the 3 signings. In terms of the exits, there's a lot. Rashford, of course, went to Villa. 75% of his wages covered, up to 90%. 40 million in buy option, which I do think is cheap. But it might be reflective of the fact that Villa are paying so much of his wages. Otherwise, Rashford would have sat on our bench for the rest of the season. And that would have been a worse situation. Anthony, going to Real Betis, 84% of his wages covered. I think that's a pretty good deal. Tyro Malacia, the latest on him, if we go up here, is that he arrived in Eindhoven yesterday and should be completing a loan move today. So that's Malacia leaving as well, but that's sort of awaiting confirmation. And then there's lots of youth signing, loans, sorry. Ennis, Williams, Hugill, Wheatley, Kingdon, Dangor, Ruben Curley is the only one there who's actually on a permanent deal. He's gone to Stoke. We don't know how much for, but I think his contract ran out in 6 months, so it probably wouldn't have been much. Then Louis Jackson and Sam Mather both went to Tranmere on loan. Jale, you're saying, did United not recall Joe Hugo? They did, and then they sent him out on loan again to Carlisle. What would you rate this out of 10? Right, if I go to the poll here, I've got 7% of you who are saying 8 plus. I don't agree with that. 30% of you are saying 6 plus. 36% of you are saying 4 plus. And 27% of you are saying 0 to 3. My personal rating was probably around about a 4. Probably a 4 to 5. I think exits-wise, the one that really frustrated me was Casemiro. We needed to get rid of Casemiro in January. No offense to Casemiro, but we talk about passengers in this squad. He's the biggest one. Man, nobody wanted him. It wasn't as if there was no Saudi club buying it. They tried to buy Mitoma for like 90 million euros. And Stephen, I completely disagree with you. You're talking about why haven't you got a minus on your poll? Giving Rashford away has taken away from the squad. It has not taken away from this squad. I honestly don't know how any United fan has the energy to argue that Rashford leaving this squad has left this squad in a worse place. Rashford, and I'll repeat this, hadn't played for United for 51 days, had said he wanted a new challenge, clearly was never going to be that Rashford ever again. So get rid of the things in your head of what he'd done in the past. You weren't going to see that in a United shirt ever again. So why on earth is United's squad weaker because he's left? I disagree with that with every fibre. But that's the overall window there. And yeah, the fact that he didn't leave was frustrating. I think there were some brief reports that Casemiro rejected a move to Saudi, but I don't particularly. No, I don't know whether that's true or not. But you know what, Casemiro? It feels like with Casemiro, we're just going to have to wait for his contract to run out. That's what it feels like, which is really, really frustrating. Now, one thing I want to speak about here, in terms of sort of the anger about yesterday, I did one live show. It was after the news broke about Matthias Tell, when this story came out. And we all of us sat there and we were looking at this going, This is weird. Like, I thought that there was no possibility of signing him on loan without an option. It made no sense. And then this came out last night. Of course, Matthias Tell has joined Spurs. They've reached an agreement to sign him on loan until the summer, paying a €5 million loan fee and an option to buy for €55 million in the summer. And that right there is why United didn't sign Matthias Tell. The €5 million loan fee. Because at that point in time, and this whole Matthias Tell transfer is really, really weird and odd. Because at this point in time, there was no buy option included in Tell. So it was just Bayern Munich saying, if you want to sign him on loan, give us €5 million to pay for it, and then just send him back to us. There's no chance of you putting a buy option in. So basically, you develop our player for 6 months, and then off you pop. United were correct to not do that. And if I'm looking here at options, like, do I think that Matthias Tell could have been an impactful signing? Yeah, I think there was potential for it. Of all the options, Matthias Tell, Christopher Nkunku, Leon Bailey, and Kolo Muani, I would have chosen Matthias Tell as the one that I would have liked for the next 6 months. Maybe he could be an option. Would I have paid $5 million, which I think is roughly what United might be saving from the money of the Rashford, taking Rashford's wages off the bill, 75% of them. What's that? Like, I can't be asked to do that. Try and I like mental maths, but I'm not doing that. We're saving a fair amount on Rashford's wages, just paying Bayern $5 million for Tell with no option would have been dumb spending. And I also wouldn't have wanted United to have a buy option at €60 million for Matthias Tell. That's going to be the single most... That right there, let's see if I'm right, that right there is Victor Gyökeres in the summer. Somewhere around that price is what someone's going to sign Victor Gyökeres for. And if I asked United fans yesterday, who would you rather have? Matthias Tell now on a $5 million loan deal, and then you sign him for $55 million in the summer, or you don't sign him now, and you sign Victor Gyökeres in the summer. I think I know what the results of that poll would have been. But I understood why United didn't move for him if they were trying to charge us €5 million. However, that's the wrong photo. I do think that INEOS, Barada, Wilcox, I think there must have been a player available in January that wouldn't have cost the world that would have given us more of an option, that would have given our squad a bit more depth in the second half of this season. And I think they should have done that, and they could have done that, but they didn't. And I do feel sorry for Ruben Amorim in that sense. However, people keep talking about resets and keep talking about rebuilds, and we all know, and if you don't know about Manchester United's financial troubles, all you're doing is burying your head in the sand, ignoring the facts that are in front of your face to have an argument which is incorrect. And if you've got the energy to do that, that's fine. That you be you. But these numbers have been staring us in the face for so long. And we have been buying... People are talking about the summer. We literally bought players on Klarna. It's like going into DFS and buying 6 sofas you've got no intention of paying for like 3 years. And then when the interest comes back, you're like, oh, remember those? I don't know why I'm using that analogy, but that's how we've been buying players. And we're trying to stop that. The second half of this season is going to be hard. The first half of this season has been absolutely poop. But the second half is going to be difficult. Would signing Victor Osimhen have transformed our season? Be honest with yourselves. It wouldn't have. You know what would have happened if we signed Victor Osimhen? Next week against Spurs, you'd all be pissed off that we didn't get the ball to Victor Osimhen. And then you'd be moaning about the build-up. And then there'd be anger towards the fact that we've got a striker that you can't get the ball to. Which has always been an issue. Service has been a massive issue for Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee. We know that's the case. We've seen it with our own eyes. Signing a world-class striker, even if you sign Victor Gyökeres tomorrow. We can't now, but you get the point. Even if you sign Victor Gyökeres in January, sure, we'd be a better team, but we would still struggle to get the ball to him. There are bigger problems. I say bigger problems. There are equally as important problems, and that's the thing, man. There's still holes everywhere in this team. Now, there's an article, if you want to go and read it, on The Athletic. As always, Laurie will bang on. I thought this was an important little conversation and talking point. Laurie saying that we've signed Dorgu on 40 grand a week, which I believe is, I think, 3 to 4 times what he was on at Lecce. I think so, which is, of course, a fair jump and a fair reflection. But 40 grand a week for someone who comes into our first team. I think that's about 25% of Luke Shaw's wages. A step in the right direction. Oh man. The pit that the Glazers put us in. Like, holy hell, man. And you know what I find hilarious as well? Like, this idea that people are arguing that INEOS are just trying to make money, that INEOS are using Manchester United, and all the cost cuttings and savings are all aimed towards going back into Jim Ratcliffe's pocket. And you just have to laugh at the idea of that. Do you know how dumb a business move buying Manchester United is if your sole intention is to make money? The investment returns on Manchester United might be great in the long term, but boy, have you got to go through a lot and clear up so much of the mess that the Glazers have created to get this club anywhere near the point where you're actually going to make a return on your own money. That's what I mean when I'm exhausted, man. I really am. It's there's so much anger among United fans, and of course there is. I'm not going to pull up the Premier League table again. You know exactly. You know exactly where we are in the league. What's gonna? Why did bring the Qataris in? Yeah, all right, cool. Some people still got energy for that argument. All right. That's another. Sam, you're talking rubbish. The Glazers take 60 million per season. Fact. So, Brookie, you're talking about the 60 million that they don't pocket, that the club pays to pay the interest on the loan that they bought our club with. How is that the Glazers taking any money? Listen to what you are saying, man. Why are there so many whoppers? The Glazers' dividends have been banned. They're not taking any money from the club. That's 60 million, which is disgusting and ridiculous. That is paid in interest on the loan that they leveraged against our football club. How is that then taking 60 mil? Why have people got so... You just can't help some people. You really can't. Takeoff, you're saying, I think this was discussed before Amorim was signed. Maybe we're overreacting. I've come to accept it. The past deals ruined us. We can't know that. And I'll be honest, I think I would like a journalist to... I'm not saying anybody to grill Amorim on this. So I'd like them to genuinely ask, did you have visibility or how much transparency was there between you and Omar Barada in your initial conversations around the finances of Manchester United? How much did you actually know? How much did you know about the situation you were walking into? I'd like to know that because I do feel sorry for him. He's been given a bad set of cards in a mid-season. He didn't want to come into Manchester United, and now he's going to have to navigate the second half of this season, and he's going to have to find some goals from somewhere. All right, and I'll tell you a video that's going to be coming out later on today. I'm going to do a sort of how has Chido Obi Martin played at United since he joined? How has he developed? How has his start at Manchester United gone? Because I would not be surprised, and this is my prediction, I wouldn't be surprised to see Chido Obi Martin inside the first team environment before the end of the season. So I think this isn't a video to hype him up. This is a video saying, well, we've got Chido Obi Martin. He's been playing with the under-18s. He's been playing with the under-21s. How has he been playing? How has he been developing? What flashpoints have there been, good and bad? I'm going to give you a bit of a sort of chronological summary of how he has played so far at United, because I think that's important. Because you could look towards Højlund, you can look towards Xerxes, and I hope there's improvement from both of them. I mean, there has to be. If there's no improvement from either of them, there is a chance both get sold in the summer. And that's going to apply to every player. Every United player now is, well, Xerxes, it's his first season. But the reason that I was content with Højlund in his first season is because he showed signs. They were like, there it is, scored 16 goals in his first season. Xerxes hasn't done enough so far for me to show that he absolutely warrants and deserves a second season. And that's me kind of going back on my concept of saying I don't ever really make a judgment on players in their first season, but so far I'm yet to see much from Xerxes. I've seen a bit of hold-up play, a little bit here and there, but I need to see something more from Xerxes. Højlund, it's his second season, and he was supposed to develop from his first season, but he hasn't yet. So neither of them can be surprised if United are considering selling them. As for Chido, that's why I'm doing this video, to sort of bring United fans up to date of how he's developed so far this season, because I wouldn't be surprised to see either him or, look, Gabriel Bianchetti, he's just had shoulder surgery. He's had a cracking couple of seasons. You know when Ethan Wheatley was promoted from the under-18s? Was it last season? I think it was. I was surprised that it wasn't Gabriel. And he was banging the goals in for the under-18s at the start of this season, again, before he had that surgery. United pushing away interest from Como. I don't really think I need to speak about him just yet because I don't know how bad that shoulder surgery is. But I do think that we're going to look towards the academy And again, that might be something that United fans have wanted. If you were given a choice of signing somebody on loan for 6 months, or potentially giving an opportunity to Ruben Martin coming through, I think a lot of you would choose that. And you already know my concerns and my fears I have about bringing through youngsters, A, when they're not ready, and B, into an environment which is not conducive to a young player feeling comfortable and ready to deal with the pressures and the scrutiny of a United first team environment. If Obi Martin was to come in, who's our senior attacker now? I don't know why I've even thought about that. That's quite a horrible thought. Is Ahmad our senior attacker? How old is Rasmus Højlund now? 21? 22, 4th of Feb. Højlund's... It's bad, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that Højlund is our senior attacker in the whole squad. Oh, what an environment we've created. How have we managed to spend that much money in attack? And, he literally turned 22 today. Oh, no, I think Ahmad turns 23. Ahmad turns... Oh, he's 29 until he's 30. I think Ahmad's the most senior player. But even just saying that, Ahmad is now our most senior attacker. Like, imagine saying that. Like, I'm all for young players. They're the most exciting. For me, in my lifetime as a United fan, my favourite ever players have been players that I've watched come through as sort of like wispy teenagers and talented youngsters who have been turned into stars in front of my eyes, and I've watched their whole growth. And I've been privileged and lucky enough to watch that with Rooney, with Ronaldo, and then others like whenever and Vidic was signed, they were a little bit older, but still you got to watch them develop into world-class stars. And right now, Ahmad is our most senior attacker. Man, the pressures are insane at this club. How have they created that environment? Now, there's something I wanted to quickly speak about here before we wrap up today's show. In fact, let me quickly read a couple of super chats out before I move on. I don't like missing anybody, whoever sends in a super chat. Rex, you're saying no attacker is worrying, but the outgoings were right. Rashford on 250 grand a week, and Anthony's 100 grand a week off the wage bill. Amorim has a tough decision in the striker. Look, that's what January ultimately was. How much house clearing can we possibly do whilst at the same time we need a left wing back? I think that was always what January was. But given that our attacking struggles continued and continued and continued, it was hard to ignore the gaping hole that we've got in attack as a fan. And that's why I do feel sorry for Amorim. Jack, you're saying we're already in the shadows? Mate, we've been in the shadows for a long old time. And we're staying there for a while. Project 2028. Let's see. Sam Kenny is saying, morning, Sam. Seeing people doubting, give Amorim time. I don't think anyone's doubting Amorim. I think people are doubting the circumstances and the cards that Amorim has been dealt. I think that's a fair way to describe it. Alex is saying, Amorim's got time on the training pitch now between games. How much improvement do you expect to see? I'd love to see a lot. I want to see United... What I would love to see in these games against Spurs, I suppose starting with Leicester, because we've got a week before the Leicester game, what I would love to see in these games are the same sort of level of a team performance that we saw away at Liverpool and Arsenal, but being a little bit more aggressive going forward. Because in those two games, we really did sit with a deep back five. It worked, but it's not ultimately the end game. I want us to be as organised as we were in those two games, but with a bit more attacking threat and spark and flair, which is probably asking too much, I know. But yeah, we got this news confirmed yesterday. And I think we all saw it. As soon as you saw the replay and you saw the knee moving in the opposite direction to the leg, your heart sunk. As soon as you saw Martinez in tears on the stretcher, your heart sunk because you knew it was going to be a bad one. We've got confirmation here. Martinez is gone for the season, all right? at an absolute minimum. I don't think we will see Martinez. Realistically, I think there's a chance that we don't see him again in 2025. There is a real chance that it's going to be the best part of a year. In fact, I would predict it. You know, when he was brought back too early with a metatarsal issue and then had a reoccurrence, you know, when he was brought back a little bit too early after the meniscus, I think, ligament injury that he got against West Ham. And this one's I think it's going to be a year, man. It's going to be a year. And it sucks. So I really like this little message from David De Gea, a little bit of support for him. But we're going to have to deal without Martinez. And if I'm looking at this back three that we've got, and I'm looking at the ball progresses, I'm looking at Martinez. He has been a big difference maker one of the only difference makers that we have in this team. Without Martinez, I fear about the sideways style that we're going to go through because he brings those line-breaking passes. I think Maguire's going to have to step up and try it. Maguire's very good at the long diagonals. Very good at those. Maguire can't do the same sort of on-the-ground vertical passes that go through the lines, that spot the gaps. So every time Martinez played, it was whenever it got played around the back three, you give the ball to Martinez as often as you possibly could. Because he would be the person to look up, look forward, see the passes, and have the confidence and the ability to find those gaps and spaces. So someone else is going to have to step up defensively and do those. Maybe we get Mazraoui on the ball more. Don't know. I don't want to see Bruno dropping anywhere near as deep as I saw him dropping against Crystal Palace. I don't know whether that was a tactical decision or whether that was Bruno just taking it upon himself. I didn't like it. I did not like seeing Bruno that deep sitting between the two centre-backs. Luke Shaw could come back in and be fit. But as if I'm going to... It might happen. And if Luke Shaw... I'm not even going to say it. But Patrick Dorgu will help us in terms of carrying the ball out. So he's now an outlet that we won't have, that we didn't have before. But Martinez, man, that sucks for him. In conclusion to today's video, the live show, right? I knew it was going to be heated. And there is no way that this January transfer window is as bad as some United fans are making it out to be. It also has not been a great window. And both of these two things can exist at the same time. In terms of exits, I'm happy we found a solution for Rashford. Let's go back to this. I'm happy we found a solution for Anthony. I'm disappointed that we didn't find an exit for Casemiro. And I think that's just going to be a player that we're stuck with until his contract runs out. And lots of loans happened, but I wish there were better loans. Like so many of those loans are like deep down in League 2. It feels like so many of those players could be doing surely with League 1 or Championship loans. A bit odd. And I'm happy with Patrick Dorgu coming in. The issue is all around the attacker. And I've just said it there, and you can disagree with me if you want. That's what opinions are. I honestly don't think that our goal-scoring issues would have magically transformed even if we had got Osimhen or Gyökeres. Yeah, 3 out of 10. No, did I say 3? I say 4, I think. I said 4. We've got 1,500 votes are in. 35% of you are saying 0 to 3. 34% of you are saying 4 plus. 25% of you are saying 6 out of 10 or 6 plus out of 10. And 7% of you are saying 8 plus. I think I go for a 4. That's why I went on the podcast earlier. And I suppose objectively that is a bad window. But I also don't know how much more we could have done. I know how much more we would have wanted to do, but I don't know how much more we could have done. The second half of this season is going to be exactly the same as the first half. If we can win the Europa League is our season now. The Europa League is our season. If we can somehow win that, It's the exact same as finishing in the top 4. Finishing third this season and winning the Europa League, or finishing 11th and winning the Europa League, ultimately leaves us in the same position for next season in Champions League football. So it's going to be crap for the rest of this season. We need to win the Europa League. I understand the frustration. I think there's some massive extremes existing. And yeah, I wasn't looking forward to that live show. I'm glad we had the conversation. I knew it was going to be heated. I'm going to try and get 2 videos done today because I think there's so many talking points that need to be discussed. It's going to be a busy, busy week. And then from next week onwards, I hope it settles down and we get into a rhythm and it's 1 game a week and we can just, I don't know, maybe the conversation moves forward. But thank you all for getting involved. Look, it is tough this season and it's not going to get any easier. All right, thank you all for getting involved and I will see you tomorrow.